MLB The Show 23 is less than 2 weeks away, and just recently we got the franchise stream, and a lot was revealed in that stream. A lot of great changes, and today we're going to go over 10 reasons to be excited about MLB The Show 23 franchise. Number 1, the new scouting range scale. So no longer are you going to see the 20/80 scales with prospect ratings. You will now see ranges which show you exactly what your scout believes to be his range of skills. So this could be a big range, this could be a small range based on how much the player is scouted. And obviously it's now important, which it's always been, to make sure you have efficient scouts so that those ranges are accurate, because you can see at the end of the draft which CPU teams had bad scouts, because you can see what they actually scouted for potential and what they actually ended up being. So you do want to pay attention to how much you're paying your scouts and make sure you have a good team of scouts. Number 2, prospect classes. You can now see if a prospect is from high school, a 4-year freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, or a 1 or 2 year JUCO. This is actually really cool, because you will now see 19-year-old 1-year JUCOs in the draft, and that will kind of show you that they have had that extra coaching at the college level. They could come in a little bit more polished and still be pretty young. And no longer will you see those 26-year-old prospects who are getting drafted. No longer are those players in the draft. 18 to 23 is going to be the range, and it's going to be pretty cool. Number 3, higher rated high school prospects. In past MLB The Shows, if an 18 or 19-year-old was drafted as a first or maybe even a second rounder and they had a high potential, it was very likely that they would be a low 50s overall, or sometimes even a high 40s overall, taking them forever to develop into an MLB talent. Well, this year they made it, and they made it a point to ensure that high school players are the dominant parts of the early parts of the draft. So you're going to see high rated high school prospects. And I just want to bring up a specific example. During the stream, the San Diego studios wanted to find the best prospect in the draft, and I think they overlooked it. It was actually a starting pitcher that got drafted number 9 overall by the Colorado Rockies, Dennis Cullen. He ended up being 18 years old, a high school senior, 89 potential, and ended up being 73 overall. That is crazy. That probably means, I mean, depending on, what your farm system looks like, as a 19-year-old, this guy could possibly be a 77, 78 overall pitcher ready to go in the majors right away after just 1 year in the minor. So this is going to be pretty cool. You're going to be able to scout younger players, and they're going to come in with higher overalls, higher potentials. Number 4, signing draftees is no longer easy. I love this, because it's no longer a set it and just look at your draft picks and then just sign them to a lowball contract. Now each team will be assigned a bonus pool, which is used to sign draftees, and gone are the days of lowball contracts. But now you need to actually continue to scout guys to make sure they're 50% interested in signing with your team, and then it's up to you in a range of 21 days to sign each prospect within your given bonus pool budget. So that means, let's just say you draft a early first round pick and he ends up having a high bonus demand, and then you end up drafting a guy that falls in the draft and he also has a high bonus demand. You may have to make the tough decision on whether or not to sign one or the other, because your bonus pool does not allow it. It's definitely going to take some strategy in order to sign some players, but don't worry about it, because if you do have that scenario, if your guy is an underclassman, he may appear in a later draft class, so he will carry over to the next draft class. Obviously, if he is a 4-year senior, he will probably just go undrafted. I think he might just disappear from the game. I'm not really sure. Number 5, scouting priority. Now you can set scouting priorities ranking from 1 to 3, and based on each slot, you will either be able to reveal scouted attributes faster, increase interest faster, or be able to basically designate if you want to scout a certain position or discover certain prospects. Now, discovery was in last year's game, but scouting a certain position kind of was not, because now not only are you discovering and scouting at a certain position, you are also scouting their ratings also as a collective. So that is pretty cool that you also get to just scout kind of a range of positions and unlock those details from a position if you're really looking for a diamond in the rough there, while also, you know, being able to focus on a singular player with your priorities. So depending on what you're looking for and depending how important certain scouting priorities are, you have the ability to control it. Number 6, scouting is an ongoing thing. I love this one because scouting has just been so dull in all the MLB the Show franchise. It's been this way for a very long time. But now, even after you 100% scout a player, now you need to accrue some interest with him. So let's just say you fully scout a player. He's at 30% interest. Well, you have to continuously scout him in order to accrue that interest up. And depending on what priority you have him in, his interest will go up a little faster. Also, a bonus to this is that when you are scouting and you want to keep accruing interest, that also means that his bonus demand may go down. So it may be a strategy in order to pay guys less in the bonus so that you have more to spread around with your other draftees. Number 7, scouts will rank scouted prospects. I actually love this because you really have to pick a good scouting team. If you do not scout correctly, you could see your scouts re-rank players on their scouting board and have that not be accurate. So let's just say, for example, you have the number 1 rated prospect in the MLB. You assign a scout that is not very efficient to this top MLB player. This scout may leave him at number 1, even though he may be a straight bust. And you may draft him number 1 and then end up seeing that he may be like 70 potential. It could happen. We've seen that happen in the stream where a team drafted a player in the first round and it was a straight bust, and it could happen to anybody. So it's pretty cool that your scouts will rank prospects, but you want to make sure you assign scouts to the correct prospects and make sure their ratings really do matter. Number 8, the draft queue. This kind of goes along with my previous point where your scouts do set a draft board for your team. But you also now have the ability to manually set your board before the start of the draft or even during the draft. But there's a catch to that. Make sure you set your draft board before the draft starts, because now there is a draft clock. So CPU teams have 10 seconds to pick, but you have 4 minutes to pick. So if you are tinkering with your draft queue during the draft when you're on the clock, you could run into issues when you're taking too long because you only have 4 minutes to pick. So it's very, very important to set your draft queue, especially with scouted prospects that you really have your eye on that are late, that may be selected before you even think they would, because based on other scouting departments, they may have scouted somebody exactly how you did and end up drafting them way ahead of time. And then you're kind of like stuck in a position where you're like, whoa, who do I draft? Make sure you set that draft queue. All right, number 9, relief pitchers are correctly valued. This is a big one. You know, in my last year's franchise with the Nashville Stars, I had a draft where 8 of the first 10 picks were either relief pitchers or closing pitchers. That should never be the case. It should always be a positional player or a starting pitcher. After that, in the second or third rounds, it doesn't really matter. Relief pitchers and closing pitchers can go, but it's realistic where starting pitchers and positional players go early in the draft. This is just a fix, but hey, nonetheless, it's in the game now. All right, finally, number 10, prospect ratings revealed after signing. This is a big one because now you don't just see after the draft how your players are rated. You have to go and negotiate their contracts. And even during that negotiation, you cannot see what their actual ratings are. You have to actually sign them first and get through that signing period before seeing if they are a boom or bust prospect, and you get to also line that up and see, you know, what are the other teams in my division, how are they drafting and how are they looking. So it's actually, you know, a risk reward type of thing, because, you know, if you think you have a guy that you improperly scouted, or you assigned a scout to a guy that you really wanted, you could end up signing a bust and giving him an $8 million signing bonus. Who knows what it's going to be, but you need to be careful with that. So that's going to do it here for my 10 reasons to be excited for MLB The Show franchise. MLB The Show coming March 24th for early access, officially out on March 28th. Hope to see you guys all on the game, and hope you guys enjoyed the video.